Hey, what's up? This is Money Basis channel, and I'm here to help everyone to understand some fundamental rules on how economy works and how does it relate to our life and how to use it to make our life better. All right, let's get straight into today's topic, the Trump Tariff War. You probably heard about it a lot, and you might wonder what is a tariff and why is he pushing so hard for it? Well, let's explain tariff first. Let's use an example. Imagine you are selling your homemade cookies at school for $1.10. But some kids from another school are trying to sell their cookies for just $1. So obviously, they are going to take some business away from you. Now, the principal says any cookies from outside would have to pay a 25 cents entry fee per cookie. So everyone need to pay $1.25 to buy a cookie from outside now. And obviously, you will get your business back because that's more expensive than your cookie. That 25% entry fee is just a tariff here, basically a tax for import goods from other countries. Remember, it is a two-way thing. You can charge this entry fee on kids from other school to protect your business, and obviously, once you do it, principal from other school will likely do the same thing, which will stop you from selling in their schools. That's why higher tariff would eventually broad tradings between countries and slow down economic growth globally. If so, why is Trump trying to increase the tariff? The main reason, from his point of view, is that America has been getting unfair deals for decades. America has been the world's rich friend, buying everyone's stuff and keeping the global economy running. And also because everyone in the world wants US dollars, as it's been the most reliable currency for the last 60 years, and US dollar is just expensive. And yes, currency is also a commodity. That makes America made products more expensive for other countries to buy. And other countries, their stuff is super cheap for Americans to buy. And the result, we buy way more than we sell. So we lose money during the trades as our manufacturing keep getting worse and threatens our national security because we are not able to produce critical product by ourselves now. So Trump has two goals from this tariff war. First, use tariff as the big leverage to force other countries to negotiation and make them sign deal that's beneficial for US. Because the outwards economy relies on trading with the United States. For China, the deal Trump wanted is to get the Chinese yuan, their currency, to be expensive as well, so we can trade evenly. For Canada and Europe, the deal is to get them to pay more for their own defense and stop taking an advantage from America, basically holding the whole work as hostage and get all kinds of benefit for America. Second, force companies in the US to buy from American local manufacturing as now buying from overseas will be more expensive, which is what's happening right now with companies like Nvidia. These were all clearly stated in the article A User's Guide to Restructuring the Global Trading System from Stephen Niran, who is the chair of the Council of American Economic Advisors. So, what has actually gone down over the last few months? Well, before this year, US had the pretty low, almost zero tariff with our neighbors and Europe and majority of the world, except for China, which he already had a trade war in 2018 with some complicated tariff already. This time, what Trump did was not just on selected goods, but a baseline tariff for almost everything imported. In February this year, Trump first increased the tariff with Canada and Mexico, our neighbors, from 0 to 25%. Basically, anyone in the US who want to buy stuff from Canada or Mexico now need to pay an extra 25% tax. And Canada fall back in the same way, charging 25% of tariff on some of the US imports as well. And US also added another 10% on China, and on April 1st, 2025, also called the Liberation Day by Trump, he made a 10 to 25% of baseline tariff for almost all the other countries in the world. Remember, tariff is a two-way deal. Not only when one country increase the tariff, the other side would do the same thing, like the cookie example we did. However, most of the countries are scared that Trump will further increase the tariff, so most of them did not take the counterpart action, except for China, who fall back in the most intensive way. China and America just kept adding the number from 10 to 34 to 50 to 125 and eventually to a crazy on 145% of the tariff. As US and China are the two biggest economic systems in the world, and this would have caused everything to fail, eventually they reached out an agreement in May to reset back to the original number. Now, US has 30% of tariff on China, and China has a 10% tariff on US for 90 days. So we have time to negotiate. But all the other 10 to 25% tariff with Canada, EU, Mexico, and all the other countries are actually already active. Now, let's talk about the most important part. What does this mean for us? This isn't just some abstract political drama. It is actually hitting us in our wallet. Obviously, prices for most of the handmade stuff like our sneakers, clothes, and some electronic stuff that's assembled overseas like iPhones, laptops will go up. The price will go out as they mostly come from China and some Southeast Asian countries with cheap labor. But you probably haven't seen that pricing going up yet because first, Americans stores usually keep inventory for 2 to 3 months, so they don't have to import now, and they are hoping that deal can be made really soon to bring back tariff to the old level before they run out of inventory. And second, there was a pause on the crazy tariff between China and US, and those tariffs will take some time to take into effect. And third, believe it or not, there are actually already some established channels for Chinese to sell their products to US through a third country, like Vietnam, to dodge this tariff between China and US ever since Trump started the trade war with China back in 2018. So for the short term, the price will be okay for the majority, but you might run into supply shortage as inventory will be running low, and the manufacturers are less willing to import goods with the actual cost. However, for some products, especially cars, the effect is already in place. Some vehicle manufacturers like BMW has already announced its price increase in early July due to the tariff. In the next few months, if there's no big deal being made, especially between the US and China, Canada, Mexico, and EU, you will see price going up very quickly for everything, likely after September, because inventory will be running out by then, and everyone will not see a sign of things getting back to normal, and they just have to all accept the fact that we cannot go back to the old days. So they will just add the extra cost back to us normal people, which is mostly what politicians and rich people will always do. So, what can we do at this time to protect us? First, if you are planning on big purchases like the car, be smart. If it is something you must buy, rather buy them now if their price hasn't gone up yet. Otherwise, double think if it's something you really must have. And second, control your budget and compare different sources before you buy. Now, with different and complicated tariff level, price might be different on imports from different countries. Unless if you're looking for starting on your own business, these American local manufacturer business might be a good place to look at as there's a clear signal for shift on that.